Welcome to the world of wireless IoT. My name is Niklas van Boxler and I'm pleased to welcome you to the now already second season of the videocast Let's Talk Wireless IoT. We talk to exhibitors and to sponsors of the Wireless IoT Tomorrow 2022 to find out what they have in stock for the exhibition and for the conference, how they are reacting to the current challenges and what they expect from the event. Let's keep the introduction short, let's jump right in, and I'm looking forward to welcome you for the Wireless IoT Tomorrow 2022 in the end of October in Wiesbaden. And I welcome Jessica Säilä. She is head of marketing at Turck, and I look forward to an informative, exciting talk about Turck and what they will be presenting at the Wireless IoT Tomorrow 2022. But before we dive further in, Jessica, how are you today?
I'm fantastic, thank you, Niklas, and greetings from Finland, which is where I am at the moment.
Well received. All right. So before we start with our conversation today, I would like to add some important information for the viewers. And that is that Turck is not only an exhibitor of the show and participant, of course, but also a main partner through the Platinum sponsorship. And that is not only for this year, but that is a year-long relationship. And our first question that I'm going to ask right now will point even more out how deep the connection between the event and Turck, of course, is. So just that background information for everybody, that Turck is not only a regular exhibitor, but also a main partner of the event as well.
Yeah, thanks, Niklas. And we are proud to be a sponsor this year and also a few years back. We, of course, have been exhibiting since 2010. And of course, we keep coming back because we love your event. It's a fantastic place for us to be and to meet up with partners, to meet up with people who are in the ecosystem, who work with RFID, have the chance to exchange opinions, hear what everybody is working on. And that's just a great platform for us to be at.
So first off, thank you for these very great words, and I can just reflect that by saying that it is just great to have such strong partners on our side to do this event, and of course how you influence the event with your product solutions. We will later on come back on the conference part, for example, where lectures are distributed. So it's great to have such a strong partner on our side. And you already mentioned some keywords about the event. What was motivating Turck to step up to this sponsorship? But let's talk a bit more about your expectations for the show 2022. You already said you are part of it since 2010. That's a crazy number. That's a really long relationship. What is your special expectations for this year?
I think for this year especially, coming back from a few years of COVID pandemic, of course, last year was already great. RFID and Wireless IoT was in fact the first event we were able to do after the pandemic. And so this year, there's already been a few exhibitions like Hannover Messe, like Logimat, like a few local events. Up here in the Nordics, we have logistics fairs that we will be attending. So there's a lot of events going on. What we expect to see at your event, Niklas, is the end customers who are really with a project in their mind, have a real genuine problem, want to know how to solve something specific with RFID. And of course, that's always the case when you go to an exhibition. But at the RFID and wireless, you get much, much more people who have already decided that they are interested in IoT technologies, whether it's some kind of active technology or whether it's RFID. We just have to see how people are. We want to put our thumb on the pulse a little bit, feel what's the next thing, so that we also, in our development, consider that, so that we really know what's going on, what's in people's mind.
Right, okay. So a very focused and already good informed audience that has a specific project in mind, or maybe want to realize a project, want to optimize processes.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we are looking for. And of course, usually that's what we get when we come to your event. And that's at least what I would say from last year. Maybe there was a little bit less people than usually around, but everybody who was there really had something in their mind, a real question. Not only, oh, I came here to see the technology, but more, I've been I've been thinking about this. There's something new in my mind that I want to do. And that's always interesting for us.
All right, well understood. And at this point, of course, I have to ask, Jessica, you will be there on site as well, right?
Yes, I will be there alongside with my Turck colleagues. We will have some of our RFID experts, mostly from our German team, but also a few of us from other countries. So we really have those RFID solution experts. We have some RFID hardware people. We really want to be able to discuss with partners the new features that we have put in our products. And we want to be able to give end customers really good solution proposals, which is why we are bringing our solutions team on board as well.
Right. So that seems to be a good point to invite everybody to stop at the Talk booth on site, one of the biggest, by the way, and to talk, for example, to Jessica if new questions pump up during our talk today, if you are looking for even more information, or to talk to other members of the expert team. I'm sure that there will be an expert who can nearly answer every question you have, and they are looking forward to welcome you not only at the booth, also at the conference, but we come back to that later on. We now already talked about what you are expecting, what you experienced so far, but I would like to come back to a more general topic focusing on Turck. So we all know that we had challenging years during the corona pandemic, of course, and now we face somehow different challenges as well, not on top, but that makes it definitely not easier. So my question would be, how has the year been for Turck so far?
Well, in general, the year has been really good, and we've had very good customer feedback from anything that we have launched in the past year and a half. So anything new that we brought on the market on the RFID front has been really, really well received. The challenge, and that's what you touched upon, is availability. And I'm pretty sure everybody's going to say the same. Yeah, chips obviously really hard to get. We're having to, invest a bit more on the actual work of getting the correct components. We're having to invest more on the components themselves. So the prices are really, we have a price pressure from the market, just pushing us to ensure that availability. And availability of our product is, of course, key for us. And then to add on top of that, of course, we have had a team, and we still have a team in Ukraine working on our software. And of course, that situation really hurt us badly and pushed our schedules back, with us having to really fast bring in new people, bring them up to speed, and make sure that we can deliver any customer project, which we can now. And I'm really proud of the entire team on both Turck side and Turck Vilant Systems side for onboarding people at like really fast speed at the moment. So yeah, I think that's what we faced, that's what we've solved, and now we just have to put the bigger gear on. I'm happy to say that customers are at the moment still, from our perspective at least, investing on RFID. And I think that's because they really are facing the same as we. When you have shortage of stock, you have to be smarter on the way you monitor your stock. And I think we are hitting that mark.
Jessica, that's exactly what I would have pointed out now, or what I would ask you, that all the challenges you mentioned, and I think we can all relate to it, maybe a specific company more or less, but they are exactly the challenges you mentioned, that the solutions or the products that, for example, Turck is offering is also part of the answer for that, to be to have more information about the specific resources or items, stock levels, all of that. So Turck is definitely offering also a solution to face these challenges.
Yeah, what we are finding is more and more people want to invest in warehouse automation, and that will also be our topic for this year's RFID and wireless IoT. So that's what we will be talking about. Last year we talked about how automotive companies can benefit from RFID, and our automotive expert Robert will be there at our booth this year.
Okay.
This year we'll be talking about our HF products, helping people who want to work with hanging sorters and other kind of warehouse automation on conveyor belt lines, automating that process. We'll have our special expert Henrik and Bernd at the stand talking about that. We've got TVS, so Turck Vilant Systems people, who are expert on forklift and using forklifts to track inventory in warehouses. And those guys will be there on the stand. So we really are kind of spreading it across. And then you mentioned the conference a few times. We'll be speaking at the conference about a concept that we are aiming towards the manufacturers and technical wholesalers. And this is a concept where our customer brings their products to the doorstep of their customer, meaning that they build special warehouses in containers, sea containers that are movable. And those are stocked with the right product. And these self-service stores, that's what we call them, are really, really a strong concept and a strong product for us this year when people want to bring the warehouse and the stock closer to where they actually need it. And of course, what is a better technology to monitor what you have in stock than RFID? I mean, everybody agrees that's the key technology for that. So we want to work on that. And just to add maybe one more point, our customers need to figure out how to answer to the rising cost levels. And of course, the trend is, do something with that. And the way we see it, when you invest in warehouse automation, you have better visibility and you need less extra stock. And in the end, that's what's saving money for you. So we try to help the customer to bring down their capital cost.
Okay. So on one side, you are focusing on a specific part of projects that are under extreme pressure during the challenges right now. You already mentioned, for example, stock levels and warehouses that you will be focusing on. And on the other side, visitors can find the solutions for rising costs, and that is definitely a very valuable information here, especially during our times where it is not easy or nearly impossible to just keep on going like most of us did maybe 3 or 4 or 5 years ago. You have to adopt, you have to invest, and you have to make sure that you use the resources you have very precisely. And I think that is what you pointed out by having the exact items you need in stock and not a huge number overall. Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly. So what we learned from thousands of customers that we have these days is that they keep having a reserve stock just in case we need that, But at the moment, there is no space for the just in case stock anymore. You cannot tie your capital into it because it costs an awful lot of money. From my personal experience, I remember one customer who had several locations with a local little warehouse or stock room. And when they started with RFID, they had over 80,000 individual items in that stock room per location. And 2 years on, using RFID, they were able to drop it to 25,000 items. So that's huge. Think about how much you can drop capital cost tied to one location by centralizing most of your stock into one place and just always stocking the other locations only after you can see that you have reached those alarm limits. These days, many keep alarm limits too high because they are not sure if it's still there or if somebody took it away. And I think that's something that we can really help out with our solutions.
Absolutely, that's a very impressive number that I heard, that the stock dropped or was focusing on the exact needed, and we're basically meeting two situations here. So on the one side, we have the benefits of the technology that was already there but was constantly developed and is growing, and on the other side we have these rising costs as well, and that makes it even more important and puts more pressure in the market to adapt to the situation and to act even more smarter. And this technology is definitely helping to move this step and to be perfectly prepared also for challenges that may lay still before us.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%, Niklas.
Okay, so now we talked already about a more general picture and some kind of solutions in specific, but I would like to come back to specific products. In your first answer, you mentioned that Turck was launching products this year that were received very well, and so that, for example, includes the IIoT function for RFID interface with the OPC UA, for example, IIoT functions for the XCOM Ethernet I/O system, and RFID read-write devices with I/O link, for example, just to name a few. Yeah. My question would be, of course, will these products be on the booth available as well?
Yeah, so we will bring the exact same products than we did last year, and some of those that you just mentioned were already with us because it was in the end of last year already. What we've tried to do is bring less and less physical, hardware to the stand, just bring a few key elements, and then discuss more. What we find in this particular event is that we meet those people who want to talk more about RFID solution or maybe technical features of the readers themselves, and a little bit more focus on UHF than on HF, which is on some of the products, of course, that you mentioned. We take all of those products to the SPS show in Nuremberg in the end of the year, so in November, because there we see even more those industrial automation customers who want to do the work themselves. So it's a little bit different audience for the two events, and therefore we have a little bit limited availability of products at the RFID and wireless. But if anyone's interested, of course, they should reach out to us, and we make sure to bring those gear that somebody wants to see if there's interest. But usually we see most interest for our Q series, so Q300, Q180, which were just recently launched in our UHF family, and then the new antennas, which actually last year when we had them were still pre-production versions. So now we will have the final production versions of our new UHF antennas. We have two types. We have one aimed for gates, and the other one is aimed for forklifts.
Okay, I think we have a pretty clear picture now of how the booth camp concept will look like and how strong the focus is on the expert team. And I can absolutely well understand that in some cases, even more important than to have one specific product is the talk to someone who can answer the questions I have for my specific a situation I'm in where I have to find a solution to be able to survive all these new challenges or to adapt to it. So the expert team will definitely be on site, not only from Turck, but from Talk Wireless Systems experts will be there as well, covering, let me say, definitely all questions you may have. So make sure to stop at the booth.
Yeah. And Nicholas, there's things that do not fit on the booth, right? We bring the gate, and a lot of people want to see an RFID gate. We can't bring an RFID equipped forklift. For one, we don't really have one in every office. Funny enough, we do have a lone one in Finland. But the second issue is, of course, it doesn't really have enough space to build a proper thing. This is why we are bringing very nice videos, so that people can see just how amazingly the new Turck Q series can be fitted on the forklifts. And so we have something new to show definitely on the video front, and just to give those people who want to talk about how does it fit in my environment, at least a glimpse of how it would look when it's installed on their own forklifts in their own warehouse. Yeah. Okay. When you can't bring everything, then you bring a video, right?
Of course, the videos and the experts who can then add the information you need to explain what you see. All right, makes sense, of course. So now we talked about the booth, and before you already mentioned what the conference topics will be focusing on. Do you already know who will be the speaker, or is that not announced yet?
Well, we will have two speakers, and I'm not sure if it's on your website yet, but we just launched also the second one. The first one will be myself. I will talk about the RFID store concept and especially present a Finnish customer called Promart, who are somebody who's very active in the technical trade, and they have brought this RFID store concept as a part of their own multi-channel business. So next to their phone sales, their online store, and their physical brick and mortar stores, they now have a 100% self-service store that they bring to their customer sites, for example, big shipyards. So that's a very, very interesting story, and I have really, really good footage from there. Obviously, we don't have space again for a sea container, but we have a very nice video. Make sure to stop by, come and see, and I'm happy to tell more about it. I know the customer very, very well. The other story will be focused on warehouse automation, and that will be covered by Henrik Schnabel. And he will talk about the Turck solutions that have to do with and are more maybe aimed to machine builders. When we talk about building a new warehouse from scratch, how do we embed our RFID equipment from day one and easily onto those warehouses so that we have full visibility? And he will also cover some of the forklift and gate stories alongside. So if you want to also track not only what's happening in the warehouse, but perhaps also the picking process, then Henrik will cover how we do that with UHF RFID enabled forklifts.
Okay, well understood. And I will definitely be there to follow both lectures. And it's great to hear that you will be on stage as well. And not only you, but together with the customer. And I think that is definitely a very strong presentation, because you can see how it was not only planned or what is possible, but how it was carried out and how it is functioning right now under real circumstances. So I will be there, and I'm already looking forward to it.
Yeah, thanks, Nicholas.
Okay, so now we heard during our talk already a lot of keywords and what is in focus, for example, warehouses. But is there a special solution that you want to point out that is of special interest this year?
Yeah, I think already mentioned the RFID store, but also, of course, I think different kind of picking and shipping and loading applications are at the moment really important, because for those people who need to track their materials better, of course they want to receive them, everywhere people want to automate and have better visibility. So I think what we often call intralogistics or production logistics, that's at the heart of the solutions that we talked about already last year at the RFID and Wireless, and I'm pretty sure we will have the same this year. So we will talk a lot about how we get better visibility to materials and inventory in production facilities. That really is key to making sure that we save up as much cost as we can on not overstocking.
Right. So talk will focus on the exact topics that are in main focus for, yeah, let's say nearly everybody, on problems that has to be solved. And that's basically what maybe changed over the years, that the pressure is just going up and going up. Right.
Yeah. And I think from, some years we bring something new, flashy, sexy. This year it's all about hands-on. Let's help our customers with their exact issues. And if you ask me, it's been that case since the beginning of the pandemic. Everybody has become very, very focused, and there's maybe a little bit less future design out there and a little bit more pragmatic approach. We need to survive. We have a challenging winter ahead of us in Europe. That's what every media in the continent keeps repeating. Since that's the case, everybody has a pragmatic approach. So we say to customer, let's solve the immediate things first, then let's talk future. And that's maybe something that was different 4 years ago. I think we had more of huge speed, fireworks, and everything really, really sexy. But now let's be pragmatic. I think that's our key message this year.
Yeah, and it makes absolutely sense. And that is feedback that I get in the conversations I do from different companies as well, who are absolutely agreeing in what you said, focusing more on implementing the solutions that are offering a quick help, for example, and not trying to focus on the firework, but to offer real and quick help and adoption of options. Maybe one question, you already mentioned the word future. In your personal opinion, what do you think, where we will be in, let me say, up to 5 years? So will we see a stabilized situation, or will we have these kind of challenges that we see now on an ongoing game? Or will we come back to a phase like we had before Corona?
Wow, that's a big question, Niklas. And I wish I had the glass ball, right?
Right.
I think if you asked me 5 years ago, could you imagine a situation where the industry is having an issue of supplying the customers with RFID tags or hardware because there's so much demand? I would not have believed you a second. And I've been in this industry for 20 years. So if you asked me after my first 15 years, I would have said, oh, it's never going to happen. And today we are in a situation where everybody says the same. We are not supplying fast enough. We cannot support customers. So, wow. So will we have solved that in 5 years? I think we will have. Where does the industry stand? How much of a coverage of RFID do we have? I hope we have way more than we do today. If you look at the retail, who have been kind of in the forefront, pushing and making sure that we get, prices down because they buy so much labels, for instance, especially apparel retailers. only maybe 15% of them have adopted so far. But now pretty much everybody, even the smaller ones, are looking into it. So I think if you ask me in 5 years' time, we will have seen a switch where at least half of the retailers are somehow invested in the technology that gives them a better visibility, because we cannot overstock anymore. And we have also the issue of and a big pressure in global warming, in people buying less. When people buy less, they look very negatively when you have end of summer sales and things like this. So that means you want to produce less, you want to produce more friendly to the environment, which means you need to know better what's happening in the production. You want to mass customize product. And for mass customization too, the IoT technologies work really well. Imagining that each product that comes through a production line has some kind of a change or difference in it, then we need to know on which product are we working. The car manufacturer has already solved it, but there's a lot of people who didn't solve this yet. And I think in 5 years' time, other industries will have started to look into this as well, and making sure that, very long we had a growing trend of having more SKUs, so more stock keeping units, more products that we manufacture, needing more complex structures of materials and so on and so forth. So today I think we are going to see a decline in the amount of stock keeping units on the long term, but smarter production and more things being altered during production. I think that's where not only RFID, but some active technologies really have their place. And it's going to be a very interesting journey, I think, for all of us.
I would absolutely agree. And I know it wasn't an easy question that I just asked, but you answered it, I think, perfectly. The one solution for the problems of tomorrow, and you already mentioned, for example, the climate change, will definitely to invest in technologies of tomorrow, such as the ones we already spoke about, to gain more visibility. And I would absolutely agree that this will spread even further, and we will see more and more and more industries where this technology will be used on a very wide range. Thank you for this answer. I know you don't have a magic bulb to look into future, but that was
I wish I did.
I wish I did as well, because I would start to do some gambling. When you know the already outcome, that's a good way to put some bets in.
True. But don't they teach you in the Back to the Future movies that you should not alter future? So there's a bad ending for it. It's a good thing we don't have the crystal ball.
Right. So that's a difficult topic as well. To like you mentioned, a lot of different laws. So better we keep it shut and we don't use it. Absolutely right. And the technologies we have today are pretty spectacular as well. So let's focus on them. Jessica, I have one final question for you. We already talked about in our brief introduction in the beginning of our talk. So Turck and the Wireless IoT Tomorrow, I have to point this out again, are already cooperating since 12 years and on a very high level cooperating. So Turck is a very, not only a very early adopter. When the event was very small, we started, I think it was 10 companies exhibiting and some lectures giving at the same time, and the event developed over time, and Turck was a constant partner on a very high level, and saw these developments over the time. So my question would be, what does the Wireless IoT Tomorrow 2022 mean for Turck?
Oh wow, that's also a big question.
Right.
It's of course, it means for us an opportunity to be a part of the RFID community, and I think that's very important for us to be a part of a European RFID community where everybody gets together, because there's also things in this world that one company cannot solve. Things like, how do we react to other technologies, wanting to take something of our channel, for example. So there's a lot of things that we want to do together, that we should do together as an industry. And so the RFID and wireless IoT for us is a place where the industry meets. And I think perhaps that helps to answer your question. It's the industry event of the year for us.
It certainly does. Thank you very much for this feedback. And I already said it, it's just a pleasure to have Turck, let me say, so close to us, and to do this organization, to realize this event in such a strong cooperation. That's just a pleasure. And Jessica, let's recap. So everybody who is now watching or hearing our conversation, we should point out, I think, two things. And the first one is, make sure to stop at the Turck booth and meet and talk to the experts. They have all information you are looking for, and they are more than pleased to welcome you at the booth to talk about products, to talk about solutions, to talk about different applications, to talk about specific industries, to talk about the hot topics this year. That is, for example, unmanned stores or a warehouse, for example, as well. We already heard experts for the automotive part will be there. So I'm sure that you will find the right answers at the Turck booth. And on the other side, we should mention that there are two expert lectures coming up by Turck, one by Jessica itself. So make sure to stop and hear those lectures as well. And that said, Jessica, I want to say thank you for this talk today. It was a pleasure. Best greetings to Finland, and I am looking forward to welcome you personally at the Wireless IoT Tomorrow 2022.
Thank you, Niklas. And just to remind everybody how they can find us, just look for the biggest yellow booth at the RFID and wireless. That's why I'm wearing yellow today, company colors, right? We will be there with a lot of yellow back wall. No problem at all to find us. Yellow marks Turck. And we are really, really excited to see you, Niklas, and see everybody who's watching in October. So really looking forward to engaging in RFID talks with everybody. Thanks so much for the interview, Niklas.
You're more than welcome. It was a pleasure, and looking forward to see you in the end of October.
See you. Bye-bye.
Bye.